The wine glass clinked against my plate as my sister Jessica dramatically gestured across our parents' mahogany dining table. I mean, can you believe it? $2 million for my dream wedding. The venue alone costs more than what Sarah probably makes in 5 years. I took a small sip of my water, letting the ice cubes clink softly against the glass. After 10 years of these family dinners, I'd learned that silence was sometimes the best response. But Jessica wasn't done. Speaking of which, she turned to me, her diamond engagement ring catching the light from Mom's expensive chandelier. What exactly do you do now, Sarah? Still pushing papers somewhere. Mom shifted uncomfortably in her chair but didn't speak up. Dad became suddenly very interested in cutting his steak. They'd perfected the art of looking away when Jessica started her usual routine. I work at the Grand Plaza Hotel, I said simply. Jessica's perfectly shaped eyebrows shot up, her red lips curling into a smirk. Oh my God, you're a secretary there? That's actually perfect. She laughed, looking around the table for support. I mean, at least when I have my wedding there, you can get us some employee discount or something. I froze mid-bite. Your wedding is at the Grand Plaza? Of course it is, Jessica rolled her eyes. James proposed at their rooftop restaurant. It's only fitting we have the wedding there too. They're the most exclusive venue in the city. But I guess you wouldn't know that, being just admin and all. Our mother finally attempted to intervene. Jessica, honey, maybe we could talk about something else? Why? I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. Jessica waved her hand dismissively. Sarah's always been the practical one. Some people are meant for bigger things and others, she gestured vaguely in my direction, well, they're meant to support those bigger things. I thought about the contracts sitting on my desk, the meetings I'd led that morning, the team of lawyers who reported to me. I thought about the fact that just yesterday, I'd approved a 7-figure renovation project for the exact ballroom where Jessica wanted to have her perfect wedding. But I stayed quiet. Not because I was ashamed, but because sometimes the best moments come from perfect timing. Have you signed the contract yet? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. James is handling all that boring paperwork stuff, Jessica said, checking her reflection in her phone camera. He's meeting with their legal team next week. I just pick everything I want and he makes it happen. That's how it works when you marry someone successful. I nodded slowly, thinking about the preliminary contract that had arrived on my desk this morning. James Parker, CEO of some tech startup, requesting our premium wedding package. The same James who hadn't bothered to check who actually ran the legal department at the Grand Plaza Hotel Group. You know, Jessica continued, warming to her favorite topic, herself. Maybe I could put in a good word for you with the management there. Get you moved up from reception or wherever you're sitting. It must be so depressing watching other people live their dreams while you just file things. Dad cleared his throat. Jessica, that's enough. What? I'm being nice. She protested. It's not my fault Sarah never had any ambition. Remember when she quit her law firm job? All that education wasted just to be a secretary. The truth was I had quit that soul-crushing corporate law job 5 years ago. But not to become a secretary. I'd been headhunted by the Grand Plaza Hotel Group to revamp their entire legal department. In 3 years I'd been promoted to legal director, overseeing all contracts, acquisitions and legal operations for their entire chain of luxury properties. My salary was probably triple what Jessica's fiancé made, but I'd never felt the need to announce it. Success, real success, doesn't need an audience. Well, I said, standing up and gathering my things, this has been lovely, but I have an early meeting tomorrow. Oh right, Jessica snickered. Got to get those copying machines warmed up early. I smiled, thinking about the meeting I actually had scheduled, reviewing her wedding contract with our events team. Something like that. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. It was an email from James's assistant, confirming their appointment for contract signing next week. I typed a quick response, signing it with my full title. Sarah Mitchell, Legal Director. Grand Plaza Hotel Group. 3 days. In 3 days, Jessica would walk into my office, expecting to find some junior lawyer with her contract. Instead, she'd find me, the person who could make or break her dream wedding with a single signature. Sometimes the best revenge isn't telling people who you are. It's letting them figure it out for themselves. I started my car, thinking about the look that would cross Jessica's face when she realized that her just admin sister was actually the one person standing between her and her perfect $2 million wedding. This was going to be interesting. The morning of the contract signing dawned crisp and clear. I sat in my corner office on the 32nd floor of the Grand Plaza, watching the sunrise paint the city skyline in shades of gold. My assistant, Thomas, knocked softly before entering. Ms. Mitchell, your 9 a.m. appointment is here early. Mr. Parker and... He paused, checking his tablet. His fiancée are waiting in the main conference room. I glanced at the antique clock on my wall. 8:37 a.m. Jessica had never been early for anything in her life. This wedding must really matter to her. Let them wait, I said calmly, adjusting my Cartier watch, a gift to myself after my last promotion. Bring them in at exactly 9. I spent the next 20 minutes reviewing their contract one final time, though I'd already memorized every detail. The Grand Plaza's premium wedding package. Exclusive use of our historic ballroom, top-tier catering, premium floral arrangements, the works. Total cost, $2.1 million. At precisely 9 a.m., I heard Jessica's voice floating down the hallway, loud and demanding as ever. I don't understand why we're meeting in the legal department. James, didn't you say we'd be meeting with the events team? I stood, smoothing my tailored Chanel suit. Another reminder of how far I'd come from the just admin Jessica thought I was. The double doors opened. James entered first, tall, confident, exactly the type Jessica would choose. He stopped abruptly when he saw me, confusion flickering across his face. Behind him, Jessica was still talking, her eyes fixed on her phone. Honestly, these people should come to us. Don't they know who you are? I mean, my sister works here as some kind of secretary and even she... Her voice died as she finally looked up. The phone slipped from her perfectly manicured hands, clattering on the polished marble floor. Sarah, she whispered. I smiled professionally. Good morning, Mr. Parker, Ms. Mitchell. Please have a seat. Jessica's face went through a remarkable series of expressions, confusion, disbelief, horror, and finally, a dawning realization that made her designer lipstick-covered lips tremble. I don't understand, she stammered. This is the legal director's office. Yes, I replied simply, gesturing to the nameplate on my desk. It is. James, to his credit, recovered quickly. Sarah Mitchell? He extended his hand. I had no idea you were Jessica's sister. Your reputation in the hospitality industry is impressive. Jessica's head snapped toward him. What do you mean, her reputation? James looked uncomfortable. Sarah Mitchell is one of the youngest legal directors in the luxury hotel industry. She's transformed the Grand Plaza's legal operations. They've acquired 3 new properties under her leadership. He turned to me. I should have made the connection with the last name. Jessica sank into one of the leather chairs, her face pale beneath her expensive makeup. But you said you worked here. You never said. You never asked, I replied, opening their contract. You assumed. The next hour was deliciously uncomfortable. I walked them through every detail of the contract, watching Jessica shrink smaller with each passing minute. Every time I mentioned a figure, the $50,000 flower budget, the $200,000 catering minimum, she flinched. Now, I said finally, there are a few issues we need to discuss. Jessica's head shot up. Issues? Yes. Our premium package requires a 50% non-refundable deposit. Additionally, there are several date conflicts with your chosen weekend. The ballroom is already reserved for a charity gala I personally oversee. But that's our date, Jessica whispered. We've already sent save the dates. I see. I made a show of checking my calendar. Well, as a courtesy to family, I might be able to help resolve these conflicts. Although, I paused, meeting her eyes, I'm just admin, so my influence might be limited. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with meaning. Jessica's face crumpled as her own cruel comments came back to haunt her. Sarah, I didn't know. I held up a hand, stopping her. Let's keep this professional, shall we? Now about that deposit. As I continued reviewing the contract, I thought about all the family dinners, all the snide comments, all the times Jessica had tried to make me feel small. Now, sitting in my office, wearing a suit that cost more than her first car, I realized something important. Success doesn't need to shout to be heard. Sometimes it just needs to wait for the right moment to whisper. One more thing, I said, pulling out another document. As legal director, I need to approve all premium event contracts personally. So, Jessica, I slid the paper across my desk, watching her eyes widen at the 7-figure total. Shall we discuss how you'd like to proceed? The fallout from that meeting rippled through our family like a stone dropped in still water. By dinner time, my phone was flooded with messages. Mom's tentative apologies, Dad's awkward attempts at reconciliation, and most surprisingly, a lengthy email from James, Jessica's fiancé. I had no idea about the family dynamics, he wrote. Jessica's version of your career path was significantly different from reality. I'm actually embarrassed I didn't connect the dots sooner. Your reputation in the industry is stellar. I sat in my home office, a glass of aged whiskey in hand, reading the messages but not responding. My penthouse apartment overlooked the same city skyline visible from my office, though now it was dotted with evening lights. This view had cost more than Jessica's entire wedding budget, but unlike her, I'd earned every penny myself. The next morning, my assistant Thomas intercepted me as I walked into the office. Your sister has been calling every hour since we opened, he said, holding out a stack of pink message slips. She's also in the lobby. Again. I checked my watch, 7:30 a.m. Jessica, who had never willingly woken up before 9, had been waiting in the lobby of my building. Send her up in 30 minutes, I said, settling into my morning routine. When Jessica finally walked into my office, she looked different. Gone was the perfectly curated Instagram-ready appearance. Instead, she seemed smaller, almost fragile. Sarah, she started, then stopped, twisting her engagement ring nervously. I don't even know where to begin. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. The beginning might work. She sat down, smoothing her skirt with shaking hands. I've been awful to you. For years. I always thought I was the successful one. The one who had it all figured out. And it was easier to believe you were struggling than to admit maybe I was wrong. Wrong about what exactly? I kept my voice neutral. Everything. Her voice cracked. I thought success meant marrying someone important, having the perfect Instagram life. I looked down on you for working, for not being married, for what I thought was a dead-end job. She laughed bitterly. And all this time, you've been more successful than I could ever imagine. I leaned back in my chair, studying her. Do you know why I never corrected you? Any of you? She shook her head. Because I learned something important when I left that law firm 5 years ago. Real success doesn't need validation. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone but myself. But I was so cruel, she whispered. All those comments about being just admin, about copying machines. Yes, you were, I agreed. And now you're sitting in my office, needing my approval for your dream wedding. Life has an interesting way of teaching lessons, doesn't it? Jessica's eyes filled with tears. Are you going to deny our contract? I pulled out the folder containing her wedding documents. Contrary to what you might think, I'm a professional. I don't mix personal feelings with business decisions. I opened the contract. However, there are some things we need to discuss. For the next hour we talked, really talked, for the first time in years. I explained the actual terms of the contract, the responsibilities and obligations, the reality of planning a multi-million-dollar event. She listened, really listened, without interrupting or dismissing my expertise. There's one more thing, I said finally, pulling out a separate document. The charity gala scheduled for your preferred date? It's for a foundation supporting women in corporate leadership. As the chair of the foundation's board, I could potentially move some things around. Her head snapped up. You do that? After everything? On one condition, I said, meeting her eyes. You join the foundation's mentorship program. Spend 6 months learning what it really means to build a career, to earn respect rather than expect it. But I don't have a career, she stammered. I've never really worked. Exactly. I handed her the foundation's brochure. Maybe it's time to change that. To my surprise, she took the brochure with trembling hands and actually started reading it. Would you be my mentor? She asked quietly. No, I said firmly. You need to learn from someone who isn't family. But I'll be watching your progress. As she left my office that day, something had shifted between us. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding. She had finally seen me, not as her struggling sister, not as someone to mock, but as the woman I'd become while she wasn't looking. 3 months later, I sat in the back of our foundation's quarterly meeting, watching Jessica give her first presentation. She wasn't polished or confident yet, but she was trying. Really trying. Her Instagram posts about luxury shopping had been replaced by posts about professional development and women in business. My phone buzzed with a message from James. Thank you. He's different now. Better. I smiled, remembering that family dinner where Jessica had laughed about me being just admin. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's helping them become better people in spite of themselves. The next family dinner was different. Jessica didn't dominate the conversation with wedding talk. Instead, she asked me about my career journey, about the challenges I'd faced, about the lessons I'd learned. I can't believe how blind I was, she said quietly as we helped Mom clear the dishes. All those years I thought I was better than you because I had the perfect life on paper. But you were building something real. I handed her a plate to dry. It's never too late to build something real of your own. She nodded, looking down at her engagement ring. I know. That's why James and I are postponing the wedding. I want to find my own path first, build my own success story. I smiled, thinking about the contract still sitting in my desk drawer. Sometimes the biggest victories aren't the ones we plan. They're the moments when those who once looked down on us finally look up and see us clearly. And sometimes, just sometimes, they become better people because of it.